Who's going to give me this damn reward anyway?
I love it. So we're going to turn around so we have a That was hard.
Okay, you give it back to you?
Yeah, you'll get it.
I get it in the mail.
Right. Good. Thank you.
Good. That's actually a very nice award. I like an earth that's that malleable and I can get it in my hand. Politicians like to control, and that gives you an illusion of control. So I have to make one correction. It's true I'm the 39th governor, but I was also the 34th. So no one ever has done this before. No one ever took a sabbatical as long as I did. So I left the governorship voluntarily, I might say, in January of '83, and I returned whenever I did return, which was last year. But I always have an affection for all things Asia. I spent 6 months in Japan doing zazen under Yamada Rushi in Kamakura, which I had to tell my father I was stirring up business for my law firm. I was actually following Bodhidharma, but that's a whole other story. Because the Chinese were the ones who gave the Japanese, well, they went through Korea, but then it got to Japan, and then it comes over to California. And it's a great circle as these cultural ideas move from one part of the world to the other. And so this is a society not just of money, but it's also a society of ideas. And they both go together. Because when people have a little bit of surplus, then they want to think about larger ideas. But they can't really think about those ideas unless they generate enough surplus to have the time to worry about the abstractions and the verities. So I really commend the Asia Society for having a wide range of concerns. And that's really what it is to be human. And I like, as governor, not just to think about the politics and the education, but also the culture and the relations that we're able to create with other states and other countries. So there is, I'm glad Orville was thinking that the money is going to come from the east to the west. It's a good idea, but we have to have something to invest in. So we've got to make sure that our businesses are up to the occasion. And we want to bridge the gap and create the relationships between Asia and California and the United States. I don't know about the rest of America, but California's enough for me to deal with. If we can't handle it here, forget about Washington, because they are not quite as well organized as we are. Now, we have a few problems, but we're handling them. That's what I want you to be very clear. If you take nothing else away from here tonight, that California is on the mend. Okay? I started with a budget deficit last year of $26 billion on a revenue stream of about $85 billion. Now that's really screwed up. And we can't raise our prices, by the way. That's called taxes. Not without, well, we can't raise them because A, the Republicans won't let us, and B, I said I wouldn't raise taxes unless the people themselves voted for it. So we just turned in about 1.5 million signatures signed by Californians that will be a ballot measure to raise taxes in November. And we'll see what the people say. But I'm going to accompany that with significant cuts, serious budget reductions. Last year, we cut $16 billion from the budget. This year, we're going to cut a significant amount. I'm not going to tell you how much because I'm going to reveal that on Monday. But it's not nice. It is not nice. It is not pleasant. We're going to do some very difficult decisions. But I believe that if we're going to have a respectable two-way trade, that California and the United States has to exercise its own discipline. And we're a place of creativity and innovation, but we also have to be a place of saving and investment and discipline. And that's what's difficult. So that's my job here. I've come back kind of like Rip Van Winkle 25 years later. And boy, have they screwed it up. I mean, I left the place in '82. It was in good shape. I came back last year, and I couldn't believe what they'd done to my state. I mean, I don't know what they did. You had all these governors, Magin and Wilson and Davis and Schwarzenegger, and they tried their best, but it just didn't work. So now we are cleaning it up. Don't worry. You can go home tonight and you can sleep well, because it's all going to be fixed up. Almost. It's going to take us, we're going to make a major move this year, and then one more year, and by the time I finish my first term, actually it's my third term, it'll be fine. And if I find there's more to do, I'll run for another term, so don't worry. So anyway, we do have a program here. We want to attract investment from China, Japan, India, Korea, all the other countries of Asia. And we want this two-way. We want to invest, and we want people to feel comfortable to come here. So I know we have a lot of problems in California. We have more damn regulations and more taxes than you ever could imagine. But if you got a problem, come and see me. I'll fix it. So if there's any investors, just come in and see me. We can fix it. And if I can't fix it, Mike Rossi will fix it. Because Mike Rossi is at the head of a new organization called Go Biz. It's kind of a buzzy name, but what the hell are you going to do different? That's the key. But I think he will. And I do think it's important. He's standing, yeah, right there, yeah. I want to say one more thing, though. California has, we're now in a nice, good feeling here, Asia, California. But there was a time, of course, when it wasn't so nice. And as I was proclaiming Asian Recognition Week, or Asian Recognition Month, I went back and looked at some of the history. And the laws that were passed in California to prohibit people from Asia from even owning property, and all the restrictions, and all the prejudice, and all the discrimination. Very powerful to think about that. So we've come beyond that. So we're making progress. But it's always good to know from where we came from. And we've come from a world which was more parochial, less tolerant, less imaginative. But as the 7 billion people on this planet are connected more closely by communication, by travel, by all the interactions that the modern world makes possible, we can and we have to surmount our parochial thoughts. And no matter where we are, whether in China, whether in California, or in Washington, we do have a certain ethnocentric bias. And so any group that can help us overcome that, rise above it, that's what we need. Because it's not going to get easier as we go into the future. Things are tougher. It's not as easy as it used to be. We have a lot more things we got to worry about. We got climate change. We have all this debt. And we have a lot of diversity. Everybody says diversity is great. But I'll tell you, homogeneity is easier to operate. It really is. Diversity is not that easy. Because it means that everybody's got their own damn opinion. And I find an organization works better if people follow the leader. Now that doesn't work in our way of government, but I'm trying. And anyway, I don't know why you're giving me this award, other than the fact that if anybody can fix this state, I can. And I will. And part of fixing this state is getting a stronger business climate and getting the relationship with China and Japan and Korea and all the other countries of Asia more attuned to our own economy and culture, and we're going to work to do that. And whatever it takes, we're going to get it done. So we're going to open an office in China, which we haven't. We've had them before. We've closed them. One thing I learned in government is, nothing is really new. You start one thing, then people get tired of it, and they forget, and they start it again. So it's kind of a cycle. But we're going to start the office again in China. We'll get a couple of them. We'll catch up with San Francisco. But San Francisco is a little more profligate than the state of California. We don't just open offices. We're going to have the business community pay for our office. Right, Mike? We're not going to spend taxpayer money. Not after Monday, when people find out how much I'm cutting. Of course, Mike works for nothing. And that's the spirit that I like. Maximum sacrifice with minimal reward. I think it was, I wanted to say this, I don't know if it really fits in, it might be politically incorrect. But the Jesuits had a saying in Latin, which was in English, to go against yourself, agere contra. Mao Zedong also said, fight self. So I feel a certain connectivity here as a Jesuit. I've been fighting self all my life. And unless you do that, you can't make any progress. So whether I can get the people of California to kind of suck it in, pay more taxes, work harder, get more creative, and then we can be a viable partner to all those who are doing the same thing in Asia. Thank you very much.